Hey everybody, welcome to this particular training session. This is on raising capital, actually a private source of money in your real estate business. And I have with me today, by the way, my name is Bob, and I have with me my good friend and business partner, Darius. Hi, Darius.
Hey Bob, how are you?
I'm fantastic, man. I'm so glad you could join us today because you know especially how passionate I am about raising private capital. It's so important in your business. And folks, even though you're learning in many cases how to do real estate without any of your own money, I've got to tell you that in a lot of real estate transactions, money is exchanged. It may not be yours, but it's usually somebody else's money. For instance, if you want to buy an REO from a bank, the bank's going to say, great, pay us cash. You're thinking, whoa, I can't do that. I got nothing down real estate. That's why you use somebody else's money. And in this particular session, you're going to learn not only what private money is versus, say, hard money or traditional lending, you're also going to learn the pros, the cons, how to find it, things to look for, and ways that you can compensate your investor, things that you need to take into account as you work with private capital or other people's money, if you would. So that said, hey, Darius, why don't you tell us a little bit about the difference between hard money and private money?
Sure. Well, private money, in my personal opinion, is what I would rather use over hard money any day of the week.
We all
And
would.
you, yeah, yeah, I think everyone will agree as soon as I'm done with this segment here of why that is. But private money is basically a way of you being able to get capital from someone where you can kind of determine and dictate the terms and arrive at an agreement. So a perfect example is private money would be if you saw a really good deal and you went to your mother, your neighbor, your uncle, your friend, your coworker, whoever it may be, and said, listen, I want to do a deal, I want to purchase this property. I just need capital. Maybe I'm short, or I need all the money, or you speak to a private investor, and you dictate the terms, and you come to some type of an agreement, you put it on paper, and now you're able to go secure the money. It's basically using untraditional means for financing a transaction. The biggest benefit of it, of using private money, and we'll go through the pros and cons of each in a few moments, but the biggest benefit is the terms are usually more favorable to you and the restrictions aren't as stringent if you're going with hard money. Now, the big benefit to it, well, or rather, one of the big things to take note of with private money is it is really the strategy of choice for people that are looking to raise capital, whether it be building a fund, which is something that we can discuss later on, or if you're just a person that's looking to be able to, raise 100,000, 200,000, put this capital to use of going out there and doing real estate deals, private money is usually the way to go. Now we compare that to hard money, and hard money is hard for a reason. Number one, the rates are usually, and we've all been there before. We've all been there. We've gotten hard money, when we were new to real estate investing, we were never really happy about it, but it's a means to an end. And hard money is something that you look at as just being temporary, right? It's a temporary patch to building your real estate career, and the biggest reason why it's negative is the rates are usually extremely high, extremely high. You can be at 20%, 25, sometimes you can even be at 30% for a hard money loan. It is similar to kind of a legal loan shark, if you want to call it that, and people only use it when they're extremely desperate because obviously it really cuts into your profit margin. Not only that, but hard money lenders have now kind of gone the way of dinosaurs. When everything happened during the subprime fallout and the economy kind of collapsing and the recession and depression that we went through, a lot of hard money lenders were either knocked out of business or were too scared to put their money at play and obviously go out there and secure people to lend money to. Another thing with hard money is, number one, you have got to be experienced nowadays. In order to be able to get a hard money loan, they want to see that you are proficient at the strategy you're looking to use the money for. Usually, it's for a rehab project. A lot of hard money lenders also want to share in the profit margin of the deal. A lot of times, too, they will charge you points. They will charge you other fees. It's in a very, very expensive way to get money to do a deal. Now, I'm not completely knocking it because in the beginning, you might need that. But the idea is it should always be viewed as something temporary until you can either raise your own capital from doing deals or raise private money, which is a more ideal situation. So that's kind of my breakdown there, Bob.
Well, you know, and the thing with hard money lenders is this, is that basically where do hard money lenders get their money? From private lenders. And so by
Yep.
us going directly to private lenders, and private lenders, folks, are individuals like you and me. They've got some money in a self-directed 401k or a retirement account. They've got some money put away. They might be a doctor, lawyer. They might be the UPS delivery guy, you know, who's been delivering for UPS for 20 years and has, you know, $100,000 socked away in a retirement account with UPS. Those are the private lenders that were out there. We're not talking about going to the rich guy up on the hill that lives in the mansion. We're talking about everyday mom and pop who want a return on their money. They want to see their money working for them. And they can loan money directly, secured by an asset that they can see, touch, and feel, and they can make 3 to 4 times at least what the bank is giving them. And you, on the other hand, can pay them 3 to 4 times what the bank is and still save a ton of money by not using hard money. The reason hard money is so expensive is because the guys in the middle, they're actually mortgage brokers in most states, mark everything up. They're the ones getting the fees. They're the ones getting the spread. They're the ones that are getting a position in the deal, which you don't have to give up. So like Darius said, a lot of us used hard money when we first started out. My original hard money lender looked like Uncle Guido. I'm not kidding. I mean, he had his shirt unbuttoned down to his navel and gold chain. It was just, I tell this anyway. Long story short, the second hard money lender I used was a fireman. He was a mortgage broker here in Texas. He was a fireman, and he led a lot of private investors. So what I found was, especially getting started, hard money was good to start with because it was good acquisition financing. But if you're going to do any kind of long-term hold, and by long-term hold, I mean longer than 3 to 6 months, certainly you want to go with private money, private individuals. The pros in working with private money are very simple. You get to set the terms, which is absolutely phenomenal. The cons are a lot of times your private lender, your mom and pop, they want to learn about real estate. They want to be actively involved. Well, you know, they don't tell, if they invest in IBM stock, they don't tell the guys at IBM how to run IBM. You know, they shouldn't tell you how to run your business. And write this down, they should be passive investors with you, not active investors. And there's a big, huge difference there. But I got to tell you that's the only con that I see. The pros that I see are it's very, very flexible. It's less expensive. You don't have the horrendous fees. You don't have the tremendous points. You don't have the markup in interest rates. You can hang on to it a lot longer. It just works out better for everybody. And believe it or not, in this economy, there's actually been websites that have set up where you've got people with a little bit of money who are loaning money to people who don't have any money. It's amazing what's going on in the economy today with people like that. Any thoughts that you have on that, buddy?
Well, I think some of the important things that a person should consider when they're actually looking to get private money is rate of return. That is the most important thing that your investor is going to want to know. Rate of return. So if I give you X amount of dollars, what is Y, right? And we're not going to get into detail of what that rate of return should be. You just want to make sure that you are retaining a sizable amount of the profit from a transaction, but at the same time, you want to make sure that the rate that you're giving an investor is comparable and competitive to what they can be getting in their local area from other investment forms and strategies, whether that be an IRA, it be a CD, banking, checking account, you know, what their average rate of return could be from maybe their stock portfolio. You want to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. You don't want to give a person who's averaging across their whole portfolio 7%, give them 15%. You know, you're giving away money. You also don't want to approach them and basically be offering them 5% because there's no incentive for them to work with you. So you always want to kind of stay maybe anywhere between 2 and 4% higher than what they're already getting. And the bigger thing is being able to explain how their money is going to be safe and secure. That's one of the biggest things that a investor is going to ask you. If I lend you X amount of dollars, how confident are you that I will be able to get this money back? Again, You never want to overpromise and underdeliver. Quite the opposite. You want to underpromise and overdeliver when you're working with an investor. The thing that they hate more than anything else, and which will really get you in trouble, is making these promises that you know you can't follow through on just to be able to get the capital. Or making these promises, which usually happens to be the case, that you hope you can fulfill on. Do not rely on hope. Do not rely on the possibility of something happening. Rely on cold, hard facts and figures. You see, another thing that an investor will ask you about, and another thing to consider, is they're going to want to know, have you done this before? Right? Have you already been here? How many times have you done this? And don't get offended when an investor asks you these questions. These are normal, and you need to understand that they're the ones lending you the capital, and really making sure that they're safe, their money is safe, is paramount to them. So when you're new, you might not have the experience yet, and you want to rely on showing the numbers. You want to rely on the logic of the transaction, the logic of the deal, which will allow that to speak for itself, the safety of the deal. After you close one transaction, 2, 5 transactions, you can start to keep a portfolio of what you've been able to do with other investors, and more importantly, get video and written testimonials from those other investors, which really speak volumes. Another big thing that an investor will want to consider, and you'll want to consider, is the time invested. The amount of time that you're going to invest in the transaction. Compare borrowing money for a wholesale deal, which can close very quickly, compared to a short sale or a rehab transaction. So that's something there that you want to take into account.
Yeah, how long is their money going to be in the deal? In other words, they've invested their money with you. Are you going to keep it for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years? My suggestion is that you always arrange it with them where they're comfortable loaning out the money for longer than you need it. If you think you're only going to need it for 6 months, then make sure they're comfortable loaning it out for a year. The last thing you want is for them to be in the middle of the investment and go, "Hey, it ran longer than it was supposed to. I want my money back now." You want to over deliver and under promise, like Darius, like you just said. There's other things that you need to consider, and it's all in the spirit of being in full disclosure to your private investor. For instance, they're going to want to know how much money you need. They're going to want to know what their security is. They're going to want to know how long you need it for. And they're going to want to know if they're going to get payments along the way, et cetera, et cetera. When I work with my private investors, Darius, I don't pay them as they go. Interest accrues, but I pay them like a bank pays on a CD. I pay them at the end of the investment. So, if it's a 6-month investment and they incurred, X amount of dollars in interest in those 6 months, that's